Soft dark eyes, a small frail man with a thin face and rather large protruding eyes, his head covered with a little white cap, his body clothed in coarse white cloth. Barefooted he lives on rice and fruit and drinks only water. He sleeps on the floor, sleeps very little, and works incessantly. His body does not seem to count at all. There is nothing striking about him, except his whole expression of infinite patience and infinite love. W. Pearson, who met him in South Africa, instinctively thought of Saint Francis of Assisi. There is an almost childlike simplicity about him. His manner is gentle and courteous even when dealing with adversaries, and he is of immaculate sincerity. He is modest and unassuming to the point of sometimes seeming almost timid, hesitant in making an assertion. Yet you feel his indomitable spirit. He makes no compromises and never tries to hide a mistake, nor is he afraid to admit having been in the wrong. Diplomacy is unknown to him. He shuns oratorial effect, or rather never thinks about it, and shrinks unconsciously from the great popular demonstrations organized in his honor, literally ill with the multitude that adores him. He distrusts majorities and fears democracy and the unbridled passions of the populace. He feels at ease only in a minority, and is happiest when in meditative solitude. He can listen to the still small voice within. This is the man who has stirred 300 million people to revolt, who has shaken the foundations of the British Empire, and who has introduced into human politics the strongest religious impetus of the last 2000 years. His real name is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He was born in a little semi-independent state in the northwestern part of India at Porbandar, the white city on the Sea of Osman, October 2, 1869. He comes of an ardent and active race which to this day has been split by civil strife. A practical race, commercially keen, which established trade relations all the way from Aden to Zanzibar. Gandhi's father and grandfather were both leaders of the people and met him with persecution because of their independent spirit. Both were forced to flee from safety, their lives in peril. Gandhi's family was well-to-do and belonged to a cultivated class of society, but it was not of superior caste. His parents were followers of the Jain school of Hinduism, which regard ahimsa, the doctrine of non-injury to any form of life, as one of its basic principles. This was the doctrine which Gandhi was to proclaim victoriously throughout the world. The Jainists believe that the principle of love, not intelligence, is the road which leads to God. The Mahatma's father cared little for wealth and material values and left scarcely any to his family, having given almost everything away to charity. Gandhi's mother was a very devout woman, a sort of Hindu Saint Elizabeth, fasting, giving alms to poor, and nursing the sick. In Gandhi's family, the Ramayana was read regularly. His first teacher was a Brahmin who taught him to memorize the texts of Vishnu. In later years, Gandhi expressed regret at not being better Sanskrit scholar, and one of his grievances against English education in India is that it makes natives lose the treasures of their own language. Gandhi became, however, a profound student of Hindu scripture, although he read the Vedas and the Upanishads in translation only. While still a boy, he passed through a severe religious crisis, shocked at the idolatrous form sometimes assumed by Hinduism, he became or imagined that uh, he became an atheist, and to prove that religion meant nothing to him, he and some friends went so far as to eat meat, a frightful sacrilege for a Hindu. And Gandhi nearly perished with disgust and mortification. He was engaged at the age of 8 and married at the age of 12. At 19, he was sent to England to complete his studies at University of London and at the law school. Before his leaving India, his mother made him take the 3 vows of a Jain, which prescribe absenteeism from wine, meat, and sexual intercourse. He arrived in London in September 1888, and after the first few months of uncertainty and deception, during which he says he wasted a lot of time and money trying to become an Englishman, he buckled down to hard work and led a strictly regulated life. Some friends gave him a copy of the Bible, but the time to understand it had not yet come. But it was during his stay in London that he realized for the first time the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita. He was carried away by it. It was the light the exiled Hindu had been seeking, and it gave him back his faith. He realized that for him, salvation could lie only in Hinduism. He returned to India in 1891, a rather sad homecoming, for his mother had just died and the news of her death had been withheld from him. Soon afterward, he began practicing law at the High Court of Bombay. He abandoned his career a few years later, having come back to look upon it as immoral. But even while practicing, he used to make a point of reserving the right to abandon a case if he had reason to believe it unjust. At this stage of his career, he met various people who stirred him a presentiment as to his future mission in life. He was influenced by two men in particular. One of them was the uncrowned king of Bombay, the Parsi Dadabhai, and the other Professor Gokhale. Gokhale was one of the leading statesmen in India and one of the first to introduce educational reforms, while Dadabhai, according to Gandhi, was the real founder of the Indian nationalist movement. Both men combined the highest wisdom and learning with the utmost simplicity and gentleness. It was Dadabhai who, in trying to moderate Gandhi's youthful ardor, gave him in 1892 his first real lesson in ahimsa by teaching him to apply heroic passivity, if two such words may be linked, to public life by fighting evil, not by evil but by love. A little later, we will discuss this magic word of ahimsa, the sublime message of India to the world. Wit and wisdom of Nani Palkivala. Union budgets. Election can change the governing faces. Budgets can change the face of the state. Every budget contains a cartload of figures in black and white, but the stock figures represent the myriad lights and shades of India's life, the contrasting tones of poverty and health, and of bread so dear and flesh and blood so cheap, the deep tints of adventure and enterprise, and man's ageless struggle for a brighter morn. The budget should not be an annual scourge, but should partake of the presentation of the annual accounts of a partnership between government and the people. That partnership could work much better when the nonsensical secrecy is replaced by openness and public consultations, resulting in fair laws and the people's acceptance of their moral duty to pay. In India, we have perfected the art of introducing budgets which aim at making all shades of political opinion unhappy and ensuring that they are made unhappy to the same extent. No budget can amend the laws of economics any more than it can the laws of dynamics. In trying to achieve the objective of leveling of income, our annual budgets merely succeed in widening the gulf between the dishonest rich and the poor and narrowing the gap between the honest rich and the poor. India is a fable land of the contrast, but there is no disparity so glaring and costly as that between prized ends solemnly pronounced in the budget speech every year and the provisions of the annual finance bill, which are so admirably calculated to frustrate those objectives. The biggest curse of the party system in any democracy is that it breeds the tendency to look at every measure on pure party lines. An almost universal tendency of all politicians is to view the budget not as national budget but as a party budget. This causes either wholesale approval or total condemnation by those politicians whose critical perception is no higher than 40 words. Visionaries expect the finance minister to be the imaginative allocator of nation's financial resources and the oracular orchestrator of the people's energies and enterprises, skills and disciplines. In practice, the minister is buffeted by the cross currents of political pressures and by an unimaginable volume of contradictory advice proffered from all sides. Sudhir Kakkar is an internationally renowned psychoanalyst and writer. He has been visiting professor of the universities of Chicago, Harvard, McGill, Melbourne, Hawaii, and Vienna, and a fellow at the Institute of Advanced Study, Princeton and Berlin. Currently, he is adjunct professor of leadership in INSEAD in Fontainebleau, France. His many honors include the Bhabha Nehru National Fellowships in India, the Cardinal Award of Columbia University, the Boyer Prize of the American Anthropological Association, and Germany's Goethe Medal. The leading French magazine Le Nouvel Observateur listed him as one of the 25 major thinkers of the world. Sudhir Kakkar's books have been translated into 20 languages around the world. His non-fiction includes The Inner World, a psychoanalytical study of childhood and society in India, Intimate Relations, exploring Indian sexuality, The Analyst and the Mystic, psychoanalytic reflections on religion and mysticism and the colors of violence. His three published novels are The Ascetic of Desire, Ecstasy of Mira, and The Mahatma. He has also translated with Wendy Doniger Vatsasanaya's Kama Sutra. He lives in Goa. Katharina Kakkar studied comparative religions, Indian art, and anthropology at the Free University of Berlin. She was taught at the Free University and the College of Protestant Theology, Berlin, and was a fellow at the Center of the Study of the World Religions at Harvard University. She is the author of the books Hindu, Freud, Western Tradition and More Modern, Hindu Women Between Tradition and More Modernity, and Der Gottesmensch aus Puttaparthi, ein Analyse die Satya Sai Baba Bewegung and ihre weltlichen Abhängigkeit. The Godman of Puttaparthi, an analysis of Satya Sai Baba movement and its Western devotees. Praise for the Indians. This is a book which should be read by all Indian executives. Mark Tutuli, Financial Express. This stimulating book is a magnificent attempt to understand Indian life is all its fullness depends on our understanding of not just our lives but our minds as well. The Statesman.